Joanna Best, and I'm looking forward to singing with Mr. Jimmy for the blues night here at Asheville Guitar Bar, Friday, July 9th. I sang when I was a very little girl with the record player and with my family around the house a lot. I would pretend the jump rope was the microphone. I remember my sister and me pulling our nightgowns down around our shoulders like they were our evening gowns and singing for each other, usually making up songs. But I grew up in a musical family, so my dad was always playing the piano and things like that, and we sang. I was born in Florida, but we moved very quickly to New Orleans. So I lived in New Orleans as a very little girl. And even though people will, tease, oh, well, you were so little you wouldn't remember. It's not true. I do remember. And the culture of New Orleans was very much a part of my sensory memory. And my parents took us to Mardi Gras, they took us to jazz festivals, they took us to all of those things. And so I think that did have an impact on me as a child. So I moved to Kansas City when I was 25. I wasn't brave enough to go to New York. Kansas City seemed like a more manageable sized city, and I had connections and a reason to go. So I moved there, and I was a music teacher by day, and I had a band by night, and I loved it. It was great. There was always opportunities, and again, just being part of that history, Charlie Parker and jazz greats before, and even just the stories that inspired blues music, along the river, and people moving from the south to the north. I really liked being part of that, and I could feel it. I could feel it in the city. I was very captivated for a long time with Balkan folk singing. That's what I did my master's thesis on, so that I could learn to sing in a loud, declamatory way without hurting my voice. So I spent a lot of time on that. So my routine is more geared around vocal strengthening. So I joined Virginia in the Slims almost 6 years ago. So I've been in Virginia for 6 years. And I had sworn I wouldn't do another band because they hurt so much when it breaks up. I just couldn't take it anymore. I had been in 3 as an adult. But along came this opportunity to sing with a jump blues band that was already established in town. They needed a new Virginia. And so I stepped in, and I really just relished the role of being her. She became a character, and I enjoy planning what she's going to wear and her flirtatiousness with lyrics and songs that she chooses and so forth. It's a fun persona to use when I sing blues. I do play other instruments. So I am trained as a music teacher, and I was a band director actually at one point in time for a year, just beginner band. So I've played everything. The only thing I've never played is bowed. And the only thing I've never been studied is bowed instruments. I have played around with the violin on my own, but I took piano lessons for 10 years. That was a requirement in our household. So I participated in contests and so forth every year. I did win a Gershwin event one year regionally in Eastern North Carolina. So that was probably my big piano claim to fame. And I always played a national program for the Guild. And I taught myself guitar in high school. I have really not progressed much beyond what I taught myself because it's all I need. It's enough chords to support me in the songs that I sing with children. I've sung with children a lot. So I do teach music appreciation at AB Tech. And so the history of music is something I spend a lot of time thinking about and preparing lessons on. And I've enjoyed traveling a lot too. So I've 14 countries at this point. That's finding the meaning of music in every culture lets you know that there is some spiritual aspect. And then also being a part of the music that is part of milestone celebrations like weddings or funerals. It gets to the heart. People cry with what you do. They cry for joy, or they cry for whatever the contentment they're feeling or completion that the music brings out. So definitely the spiritual aspect. I am a preacher's daughter, so associating music with church growing up was thick in my experience. But it didn't stop there. Thankfully, that wasn't the only place we did music. And so I always look for something deeper. That's probably why I have a little intrigue with the whole voodoo scene and things that goes along with the blues. It's also mysterious, and there's so many parts of it that even though we can understand the musical language and we can understand the physics, there's parts that we can't explain.